Here we go.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the window.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
A couple things to start. We're on course for 3 hours of incredibly mindless banter, which I'm assuming most of you out there, if you're like me, you need. I know that we all should embrace the holiday spirit and the snow, and it's so pretty and all that, but man, these last hours have been a complete pain in the ass. So I don't know about anybody else, but I can straight do without it. I've been okay without it. Not really caring how beautiful that it looks. By the way, shout out to, and I am surrounded by great folks. I love where I live. Love it. Ron DeVault, retired from Lilly, brings the John Deere over and clears the driveway in about 10 minutes. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Seriously, I've got from Jeff and Glenda Watson to the DeVaults to my man Rick. And Brayton sometimes is in studio with us from Center Grove. The Dietrich family, the Sedinas, the Emmons, and we're not all on top of one another. It's a beautiful thing. Shout out to you guys. Thank you very much. And I know that it was a tough commute home last night. For the first time in a while, you had to deal with these slick weather conditions. Took me about $1.10 to get home, but got home safely. Hopefully you did as well. Maybe you stayed around and watched the Pacers last night. 135-119 loser to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We shall get into that in just a second. And I don't want to hear about, well, you talked about T.J. McConnell. He didn't play in the second half. Well, there was really no need for him to play in the second half. It's not like this game was in the balance. At least it didn't seem like to me it was much in the balance. But to suggest that you trade him away, that he should be offered up, especially if you believe this to be a gap season for the Pacers, if this is just a blip on the radar, this is just what happens when your best player, by the way, should get MVP votes, is Tyrese Halliburton, considering where this team is right now and where it was when he was participating. I mean, hell, it's not even close. Without Miles and his 9-3. But not even close, he should be getting MVP votes. You know, the one thing I love about Halliburton, I think we're all in agreement on this. We love the professional athletes here that embrace where we are, that embrace our home, that aren't from here. And I know that Halliburton has family from Kokomo, and we've talked about that on this show before with him. But at the Colts game on Sunday, doing what he can. It's not like he's half-assing it on the bench either. I mean, he's putting in some thought. I mean, he has input. I like it. And it's not just something, well, hey, I want to make sure I get on camera and I'm acting like that I'm engaged here. That's real. Absolutely real. And I dig that a great deal. I know you guys do as well. He loves it around here. Goes to the Colts games, enjoys that, hanging with his team, and I think we all understand exactly what has been missed. This team, there's no real way. And I love Nembhard, I love McConnell, and these guys give effort, but there's no real way to equate what he brings to this team. I mean, stylistically, you're just hosed. And you can see the rest of the NBA with that particular style, they're trying to do that. And a lot of these teams are scuffling to try to do that. You know, I mentioned this, and I should take my own advice. I was thinking last night, and this wasn't me, And these are the ones that I like to reference as nerds, but then I find myself doing it with Jake and the crossover brought to you by Love Heating and Air. And then I kind of brought that up with the 9-3 from Miles. I mean, there's something I think we can all do without. Because as I've mentioned before, if you're pissed off, and I was, about how he referenced his team, I don't care that he's now in Milwaukee, but he is going to pay such a steep price for all this because there is zero way the Greek Freak is going to stay in Milwaukee. And I know that it's early December, and I know oftentimes it's probably tough to engage, especially when your team like Milwaukee is scuffling. But among the players, especially these star-level players that look like they're completely disconnected from their guys, he is at the top of the list when he's participating. He looks like he is having zero enjoyment. And while I think we understood what they were going to get, and I think a lot of Milwaukee fans felt they understood what they were going to get, but some felt that they were going to get this, double type of stat stuffer. And we all knew that on a night in, night out basis, that's probably not what's going to happen. Now, again, we all understand this because we were living it this past year. I mean, the tail of the tape is going to be coming up in the spring. Now, right now, it's really meaningless other than, again, our mindless banter. But I should take my own advice because I've observed a lot of the nerdery going on around. There's a great deal of nerdery. A lot of the nerdery, taking time out to make fun, to poke fun, and I am no longer a fan and not a supporter, but I would just kind of back away and worry about what's going on here and not worry about what's going on there. And with that, I should stink and take my own advice. Hey, sometimes I got to look in the mirror. Sometimes it's up to you to call me out, but sometimes I have to look in the mirror. And with that, I do need to look in the mirror. 135-119, the Cavaliers over the Pacers last night. I am going to go tomorrow night because the Nuggets are in town, and that means I get to see Nikola Jokic. If there is one player that I would pay the price of admission to see, it is him. And I went a year ago, and the thing that astounds me, as I mentioned, is I bet 95% of the time he was never looking to where his past was destined. Like, they always, and Tony Romo, like I mentioned this with Jake, I was talking about Keanu Tom and what I used to watch on ESPN in the mornings and the middays and the afternoons. Keanu Tom, right at the top of the list. I think you know what that's all about. That's what Tony Romo feels about Patrick Mahomes. And when Patrick Mahomes does one of those no-look passes, Tony Romo goes like straight triple X on everybody. I mean, just loses it. And with that in mind, that's kind of how I feel about Jokic. It is incredibly enjoyable to watch somebody, and for whatever reason, like Larry Bird was like that, Magic Johnson was like that, Michael Jordan was like that, and it doesn't just come down to sheer ability. It comes down to being a step or two steps ahead. It's like they know the future. We've always been trying to know the future. We have guys on here that try to predict the future in football games. But we always want to know the future, and we don't have a time machine, and that part sucks. I wish we did. But the closest to a time machine that we have is watching these dudes that know what's going to happen before it happens. And Jokic is one of those exceptionally elite guys in basketball. Just watch him, and it doesn't really do it a complete credit to him when you watch it on TV. When you see it live, it's mind-blowing. And maybe I have to be a complete basketball nerd, but I watched that a year ago, and I thought like 95% of the time he's not even looking in the general vicinity of where he's passing the basketball. And just always right on target. And oh, by the way, he does a lot of other things too. That's coming up tomorrow night, so I shall look for you. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, coming up again tomorrow. I will look for you at the Field House. The Field House is going to be a destination location, downtown Indy, a destination location. Do you think that Ohio State fans are anywhere near excited as IU fans are? Is this detrimental? We'll ask Danny Kanell this coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Is the championship game as excitable as every IU fan is? This is like a glorious time in which you may never see. Remember when we all gathered, was it a year ago in April for the eclipse? When's the next time we're going to see an eclipse? And I'm not suggesting that this program's not going to be top shelf, but when's the next time we're going to see an eclipse? That's kind of what it feels like with this IU football team in the Big Ten title game. It's like, holy crap, we got to take advantage of this. And if you've seen the ticket prices, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You got to take advantage of this because this crap may never happen again. Not suggesting at all that Kurt Cignetti is not going to continue to win games and keep this football program at a high level because, again, it's a new landscape. And if you want to be, you can be. Yeah, you're not automatically pushed to the back row. You don't have to be IU of the past any longer if you're smart about it and you have the resources. IU's been smart about it and they have the resources. It's going to work. It has worked. But when we all gathered, we went to the Ale Emporium in Castleton, and we all got our little goggles, and we played every song imaginable that had anything to do with the moon. Like New Moon on Monday by Duran Duran played nonstop on a loop, I think. But we all gathered everybody gathered for that. Everybody around here, because this is like going to be the epicenter when we can view it. And that's kind of what it feels like with IU fans with this game on Saturday night. And as I've mentioned before, man, embrace it. Embrace it because you have no idea if this is going to happen again. You have no idea. Do I believe in that program and Kurt Cignetti and what he has done? And Scott Dolson for what he has put together? Absolutely. But can you bank on this happening again? Absolutely not. So you see the ticket prices, you see the interest. And that's why I have not been into the conversation about how it could ill affect IU coming up here in the playoff. I mean, you could fall even further. So are we suggesting that you have to, like, I think that they can go out and be high-level competitive. Because I think if there's a team that's going to kind of look at it and, hey, this is what we're going to lose, I'm not suggesting they're not going to be competitive. And maybe that's a reversal. Maybe they'll be more competitive because they believe dumbasses like me think that they may not be as competitive because they're the 1 seed and they have all this to lose. But again, maybe that's the reason why you play at the highest level, because you do have the most to lose. You have the most to protect. You have the most to lose. I mean, IU's just kind of going in there, and this is what we have. You remember Columbus of a year ago? That clearly didn't go well. You want to make amends? There was always something about, too, being in position of the underdog and having to go out to consistently prove yourself. And believe me, this IU football program, not even 2 years of this high level of play is going to keep them from having to do that in the eyeballs of the nation. Because we have a nation of folks that just say, well, if it's not in the SEC or a high-level Big Ten, if it's not Ohio State or Michigan, you know, if it's not any of that, then why are we paying attention? And then you're IU, and you've been the worst team in college football forever, and now you're just kind of crashing the party. So you constantly feel as if you have something to prove. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. And it's a good thing for the fans to be excited. I can't wait to see what downtown and then what Lucas Oil Stadium looks like with IU fans to Ohio State fans. I know Ohio State fans are absolutely incredibly in love with their program. I mean, look what they do to the Horseshoe every time they play a home game there. But does it balance out? We'll see if the level of play does on Saturday night, but the fandom, does it balance out? We'll ask those questions and more of Danny Kanell coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. I actually cannot wait. I could not give a fat crap less in this case about what else is going on. That is such a focus. Bullseye pregame party. I got passes for you. Kyle Kinnett's got it going on. We got a pregame party for you coming up. We'll give away passes for that a little bit later on. Greg Rakestraw about what happened on Friday and Saturday, high school football-wise, collegiate football-wise. We'll get into that with Greg and obviously the host, along with Bill Brooks, of the postgame show of the Colts. They are working out kickers today. Would you trust the guy that you're pissed off at right now because he bricked on a point-after attempt again for a third time? That was costly, clearly, on Sunday at home? Or would you roll the dice and bring in somebody that has been unemployed here recently? There's really no good answer. There's really no good answer. I get back to the yesterday for a moment, too. And again, we have more mindless banter regarding that coming up for you. But I think, to me, those that have suggested, hey, you know, they're 8-4. Are you not going a little overboard here? Honestly, you can't go overboard. You cannot go overboard because of recent history. I mean, they are who they are until they aren't. You understand what I mean by that? I mean, if you believe right now, you're thinking that this team is fading and fading fast, and it could be like just a garden variety of what has been consistent disappointment over the years. It's got all the feels of that. And just because it's never happened in this fashion before doesn't mean that they can't serve it up for you. Like, I had to get in a debate last night because I had mentioned at the end of the show that Daniel Jones, somebody had asked me, hey, does Daniel Jones, is he still the guy? He has to be the guy. And then the response was, well, no, he doesn't. If they end up firing everybody, then, they're going to rebuild. Rebuild with what? What are you rebuilding with? With Riley Leonard? With Brett Rippon? Not having first-round selections? What exactly are you rebuilding with? And I'm not going to get on Daniel Jones because the guy's going out there limping around and doing his best, but he's not getting the support that is necessary from his offensive line, from his defensive line, from his head coach. I don't care what anybody says. I know his head coach is a genius, but his head coach needs to learn a little bit more about how you put him in a situation knowing who he is right now and not who he was in September. And as we talked about that with Stephen Holder yesterday, Stephen's response was, well, that's just their playbook. Well, you know what? Some things better change a bit in the playbook, or his offensive line better protect a little bit better. Something better happen because this ain't working. And I know that just like it wasn't as smooth and rhythmic as it was up until the Pittsburgh game, you cannot be who you were prior to that because your quarterback isn't. But even beyond that story, how's Daniel Jones not here next year? Hey, Chris Ballard may not be now. Who knows how Carly Ursay-Gordon's going to respond if this thing just fades? Because honestly, when you dangle that carrot and you have that high level of success, this could be honestly the biggest nut kick that we have seen around here in forever, considering what they were and what they're now morphing into. At the very least, if you start out and you stink, hey, you stink and changes need to be made. But you started out as one of the best. And even though you lost to the Rams arguably the best team right now in the NFL. and he lost to the Rams, but you had them beat, and a player cost you that game. So a lot of what we witnessed in the early portions of the season wasn't just the schedule or wasn't just the early portion of the season. It was legit. But you're that, and you go from the penthouse to the outhouse like that, that makes it more excruciatingly bad. And I don't think that this team's ever lost or gone down the tubes in that fashion before. So this is a big damn deal. But for those of you that believe that they're going to rebuild, where are you going to rebuild and start new? Now, how's Daniel Jones not going to continue to be the guy? So what, all of a sudden now you're not going to bring back Alec Pierce? You're going to make tougher decisions on everybody else? You can't. I mean, you have made decisions that, frankly, and I know you haven't made one on Jones, but you've made decisions so far that you're going to have to live with, and you're going to have to live with longer than just this year. So what you need to do is transform and morph into more of what you need to be right now, and not as much as what you were when things were going smoothly and there were no bumps in the road back in September. That and more coming up. 239-1070 is that number. I've got the text line that is open at 317-239-1070 as well. Hey, the Garage Pub and Grill, that is in Columbus, Indiana. Coming up on Thursday, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. You know, it's funny. Somebody had asked me a little bit earlier, hey, you know what, you're going out to all the Bloomington and Columbus. Yeah, why not like Lafayette? Why don't you come to Lafayette? And I took that to heart. I'll explain coming up in just a bit as well. But we're in Columbus at the Garage Pub and Grill on Thursday. Bart County, I would love to see you. Brown, Decatur, Jennings, Jackson, Southern, Johnson, Shelby counties, we would love to see you. Going to be a great time coming up on Thursday. And then at a brand new place, I have never been because it is new, to Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. Bud Light Blue Friday has us there. I have bullseye passes for you for that party coming up on Saturday. We've got that as well. Danny Kanell will join us, 5 o'clock hour. JJ, 4 o'clock hour. Greg Rakeser on the other side. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you all for joining us. I am far from holiday festive. I'm already fed up with the snow and the cold. But I'm trying. Quick break. Back with your calls and more next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
With JMV.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Colts are in search for a new kicker. They're just holding tryouts right now. That's and more coming up. Danny Kanell talks IU Ohio State Big Ten title game coming up on Saturday. Danny's going to be here in the 5 o'clock hour. JJ, latest on the Pacers blue and gold report from Jeremiah Johnson coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. 317-239-1070. The text line, 239-1070. The phones. This is kind of the theme of the show, mindless banter, which I dig. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he's going to fit right in with the mindless banter. By the way, to Butler, Eastern Michigan, right here. We got to go 8 minutes longer and lead into Mentor and Gardner coming up later on tonight. The Dogs and those from one of the worst states of all time and really one of the worst towns in the worst states of all time, Ypsilanti, Michigan. Eastern Michigan and Butler later on tonight here on The Fan. Greg Rakestraw's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. When's the last time you were in Ypsilanti?
The first year that I was the voice of the then IUPUI Jaguars, we played at Eastern Michigan, and John, we pissed away a 15-point lead with about 6 minutes to go and lost by 4. Thankfully, that loss was avenged some 25 years later by the now IU Indy Jaguars on November the 14th.
Am I accurate on this? This is my recollection, and it could be failing. Is the diminutive guard Earl Boykin from
Correct.
Eastern Michigan? Yes.
That is correct, and they built a new arena right after Earl and Derek Dial, who also played in the NBA, were together. In fact, one of Eastern Michigan's great moments as a college basketball team came in our fair city. As the 9 seed, they beat 8-seeded Duke at the RCA Dome in 1996. They then built this lovely new convocation center, seats about 9,000 people. They have not been that good since that time, and they play in front of a staggering number of empty seats on a regular basis.
Sweet. There at Hinkle later on tonight. Again, your coverage right here on The Fan. My Sycamores play Eureka, and I'm assuming that I could cobble together some dudes on Sunday morning and beat Eureka. Is Eureka from Kansas?
Eureka is from Illinois. Eureka is a Division III school, so one of 2 non-D1 schools at Indiana State. John, can you name the U.S. president during our lifetime that is an alumnus of Eureka?
The U.S. president of our lifetime.
Yes.
I don't know who.
Ronald Reagan attended and played football at Eureka College.
Why didn't I know that?
Well, because maybe they didn't teach that at Eastern Green. But did you hear the big Eastern Green news today?
Levi Carmichael's on the silver anniversary team. Did I see that accurately?
That is correct. So I get to recognize him at March 18th at our annual banquet at Primo's on the South Side.
I freaking love Levi. And it's funny. He was the coach there after his career, and I think he cussed or something like that, and they ran him. The Hillbillies ran him off because they didn't play his kids, something like that. So he moved on to bigger and better things. But he is an awesome dude, was an awesome player, one of my all-time favorite Thunderbirds, Levi Carmichael.
If I read the note from Cal Nedner correctly, is he the all-time leading scorer in the history of Thunderbirds basketball?
Unless JT Yoho, who went to Wright State,
correct,
ended up getting past him. I believe he still would be that. And Levi, by the way, played at Austin Peay collegiately.
Open up the fly, let's go pee. Absolutely.
No, great dude. And honestly, he deserved better from his school that he brought so much to when he was the head coach there. But, I mean, you know that, being from Lanesville as well as I know that, and a lot of other people do. Sometimes you get in that small-town rural basketball politics, and it's just not something you want to jack with, and he didn't. I don't blame him. So that's
the great thing about Lanesville is that we're so small, we're just going to play the dudes we got. Some years that's good, some years that's not.
Hey, Greg, post-game show host with the Colts along with Bill Brooks. Do you expect Brian Mason and company to find anybody more useful than Michael Badgley during workouts this week to lead up to Jacksonville Sunday?
Probably not. And I mean, again, you expect somebody to not miss 3 extra points in 7 games. So let's state that out loud. But the big concern with Badgley was not being able to make from 50-plus yards, right? So who was available a couple of weeks ago? Matt Gay had the same issue when he was here. and he is now kicking, I want to say, with the 49ers after being let go by the Commanders. I mean, you get to this point in the season, there's just not that much left on the available market. And again, it's even more so now because with expanded practice squad sizes, a lot of teams will stash a kicker on their practice squad. And so you're not getting the 33rd available guy. You're getting like the 50th available guy. So I'm all for finding a guy that doesn't miss extra points, and I'm sure you could do that. But if you're going to make a move this late in the year, you're going to make a move for a guy you think is definitively better. And I'm not sure that guy's available with 5 weeks of season left to go.
So Jacksonville at Seattle, San Fran, and then Jacksonville and Houston again. I will say this about the Colts. I mean, they've carved out their destiny and then kind of brought everybody back in to the photograph here. But they're still firmly in control if they can find any footing whatsoever. But, Greg, to me, it starts with what is not going on up front, especially with that offensive line. You know what your quarterback and his situation is right now, and between the head coach and the offensive line, it doesn't seem like that they're really treating Daniel Jones in the fashion and what he's going through right now in the way that he should be.
In other words, get Jonathan Taylor earlier touches and maybe offer some more max protection.
I mean,
don't
treat Daniel Jones like it's September when he's all healthy and stuff. I mean, that's what it reminds me of. They still try to run, and I know that that's what the playbook is about. But it looks like they still try to run things that he may be incapable of running when he's compromised injury-wise now compared to when things were clicking and it was rhythmic back in September.
Well, I would say this. I have noticed a lack of that boot that had run so well for the Colts, as in not Daniel Jones wearing a boot, but as in a bootleg play. That was free money for the Colts, whether it's to Warren or Taylor or even Josh Downs, every time they ran it. And I'm not sure that Jones has the wheels right now to run that play. So I think that is kind of off the table. And obviously, since the Pittsburgh game, every team has seen that for some reason what the Colts did against the blitz early in the year just up and went away at the middle of the year. So every team is teeing off on him. And now you add to the fact that he's banged up and is a less mobile target and feels the need to get rid of the ball. Because, again, in one sense, the Colts allowed 7 less sacks than the Bills did with Josh Allen as their quarterback 10 days after the Texans beat the Bills. But at the same time, Daniel had 13 incompletions, and his completion percentage was just hovering about 50%, which, as we have known, is not exactly a winning number. And so, yes, to your point, maybe it's time to go, all right, let's change the game plan up to make sure we accentuate the strong point of the team and to make sure that you are protecting what your best available option is a quarterback, but a guy that clearly isn't 100%.
Greg, I'll tell you something else that's not good is when you have to look on the roster to find out who is actually putting pressure on the quarterback compared to the guys that should be doing it that aren't.
That's a fair point. When Chris Wormley got that sack, I immediately kind of waited because I'm in the booth with J.J. Stankovitz during the game. I waited for J.J. to speak his piece, and I kind of looked at him and I said, and 68,000 Colts fans just said, who? Since he was activated, the day before, and Addy Tommy getting the other one. And so, yes, defensively, I think overall the Colts did what they had to do. They held the Texans to 20 points, should have been 16 because of the pass interference call. So big picture, Colts did what they needed to do, and I think the offense ultimately failed on Sunday. But is the pass rush getting home as much as they should be? No, John, they're absolutely not.
It's interesting. Greg Rakestraw's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, but you look at Saturday, the Big Ten title game, and IU fans are excited, and they should be. IU's team is excited, they should be. Has this become old hat and maybe not as excited for the Ohio State folks and their team, or because they're the 1 seed and you want to maintain that, you're going to come in there as focused as you normally would, as excited as maybe the IU fan base is about their program right now?
I think there's 2 things that has Ohio State, maybe 3 things that has Ohio State hot and bothered coming into this game. 1, you just finally beat Michigan. I mean, last year you won a national championship, but still didn't beat Michigan, and that's something Michigan fans could hold over your head. Now that is no longer the case. So there's that. 2, I think what you talked about in terms of ensuring that you are the number 1 seed going into the final 7 bowl games, I think that's a big deal. And 3, I think it is the chance to continue to be the big boy on the block and try to squash down a program that is clearly on the rise in IU. I think those three things are all motivating factors for that team coming to Indianapolis. What I am going to be very curious about, and obviously ticket prices are to the moon.
Yes.
But normally in any scenario like that, Ohio State is the de facto home team. They're playing IU in Indianapolis, and this is a first in 3 generations moment for Indiana football. Just what is the crowd split going to be on Saturday night?
What are you thinking?
Curious.
What are you thinking? Because maybe it's just me being here, and the excitement level of IU fans. I think IU fans are going to surprise everybody with this.
I think it's going to be 60-40, 65-35 IU fans. And let me throw some financial logic behind that. If you're an Ohio State fan, even if you lose this game on Saturday night, you've done enough to be a top 4 seed. So in theory, you've got at least 1, if not 2 or 3 more games to spend for. I could easily see scenarios where a lot of Buckeye fans had pre-bought those tickets because, let's face it, they're Ohio State. They're planning on playing in Indianapolis every year, and now selling those to Indiana fans that don't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime moment, when if you're an Ohio State fan, this is a once every December moment. And so I think you will see more IU fans than maybe a lot of folks would give credit for coming into the game.
What did you think of Friday and Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium? I thought there was a great deal of drama. There was a lot of what you thought would occur, did occur, but there was some awesome football played per usual.
Well, obviously, the end of the Roncalli and Dwenger game was probably the highlight of the week, or the drama of, is one of these teams going to score of Andrean and Brownstown Central in terms of the two-way game, and a blocked punt leading to the only points of that contest. But big picture, John, this was as competitive top to bottom as those state final games have been. The two that I had, frankly, New Pal and Maryville was closer than the final score would indicate. It was a 17-all game going to the fourth quarter. And the Brownsburg-Westfield game was probably not as close as the final score told you it was at 38-31, because that was a 3-score game until Westfield really started to rally, kind of late in that game. But there was not a massive blowout in any of those games. And usually we have at least 1 or 2, if not even more than that, in a state final. So I think that was the overarching theme for the weekend at Lucas Oil.
So do you have a paragraph carved out regarding the great Levi Carmichael?
Not yet, John, but that event is like 4 months from now. So
I got some
time
I'm sorry.
to work on. Yeah.
We called him Levy all the time. We always mispronounced his name.
And when he would make those shots, he would just simply say the levee is never dry, right?
I'm telling you, he was a damn good player, and I know that Andy Eigel, who was a longtime coach down there, had a great deal to do with it. I know that there was something in the summertime he had to ride in, but and Andy Eigel is one of the better coaches in the state of Indiana that sometimes doesn't get mentioned either. But such an incredible high level of success. I end up talking about Mark Barnheiser all the time with good reason, but it's interesting how Eastern Green has manufactured a couple of really high-level high school coaches in the past, without question.
So I'm assuming you are looking at buying a table for the event on March 18th, or maybe even doing the show live from Primo's on that day.
Is the bar open?
The bar is always open, John, even while I'm up there talking.
You know that Dean Martin Jr. right here is always ready, willing, and able when the bar is open.
Well, talk to Holvers and see if he can sponsor you. We'll work him in. All good.
All right, brother, I appreciate that. I miss you on Saturday nights. Less than a month, though. We're counting down.
Again, I'm calling you next Saturday with Fernando and Abba, whether you're on the air or not. So that's all good.
Hey, by the way, Toussaint or Mendoza, is that going to be the winner of the Heisman from this game, or is it going to be Love from Notre Dame?
I was going to say it all depends. It all depends on if the quarterback play is that strong. These two teams are so good and so physical and so defensive. The quarterback going to have to be lights out. And so if they kind of play to a draw, it opens up the door for Jeremiah Love. But if Mendoza has a great game and IU wins, put his name on the trophy right now.
Greg, I appreciate you, man.
See you, buddy.
Greg Racer on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Mendoza and Sayin. What's your favorite song with "say" in the title? Would it be Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson? Say, say, say what you want, but don't play games with my affections. No, James? Say you will, say you won't. Foreigner, which is the shirt I'm rocking right now.
See, I'm drawing a complete blank on any songs with the word "say" in it right now.
Say It Ain't So, Weezer. Say It Ain't So, The Outfield. Say You, Say Me, Lionel Richie. See, if you took me to a trivia contest, I'm whipping everybody's ass.
Yeah, if I'm ever doing some sort of music-themed trivia contest, you're my partner.
Say It Right, is that Nelly Furtado? I can even go to, and that's not today. That was like 20 years ago. Close to today. As close as I'm going to get to today. Speaking of today, this is tonight. Number 1, Purdue on the road at Rutgers to start out Big Ten play. Missouri, Notre Dame also later on tonight. But Eastern Michigan and Butler right here. When we conclude this show, if you're on hold, I'll get you on the other side. 239-1070. The text line 317-239-1070 as well. The mindless banter on this Tuesday, we roll. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
For a third time, I guess a second time this season, but a third kicker this year. The Colts are looking. Michael Badgley has been waived. So goodbye to Michael Badgley. 3 missed PATs in 7 games. That led to, and certainly most recently on Sunday, that was the one that could have put them in position with a kick to tie it up instead of going for the touchdown. And we all know how that went on Sunday. And I guess they found somebody they like better. We'll continue to follow that story to see who they found that they like better. A third in a season. How often does that work out? A third in a season. Michael Badgley waived. And more on that coming up here at the top of the hour for you as well. Jeremiah Johnson, bottom of the 4, and Danny Kanell is going to be here coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. My man, Matt Goins, who is the lead, the prez of AAA, has experienced the greatness of the Odin Locker in Odin, Indiana. Shout out to Andrew Schwarzentrooper down there that runs that just incredible facility of luscious and glorious meats, or as we referenced yesterday, proteins. Oh, it's great. And Goins, I think he's going to join us coming up on Thursday. I know that Spencer Thompson Furniture is going to go down and sample some cocktails with us as well. It'd be good to meet him down in Columbus. Again, we have not been to Columbus. Check that. Let me go ahead and backpedal. Once before, I was at the Columbus Buffalo Wild Wings, and this goes back, I don't know, 7, 8 years. The Garage Pub and Grill, downtown Columbus, Thursday, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. So I would love to see everybody down there. This is where the party goes. Brent and I will make our Week 14 selections. And by the way, too, I am fading, much like Michael Badgley has faded. I'm fading. I started out great. I'm actually like the Colts. My season of Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots, it's kind of reminiscent of the Colts. Started out like gangbusters, kicking ass and taking names. And I've been sniffing rear end here for the last couple of weeks, almost a month now. So much like the Colts, I've got to reassess some things and pull myself out of a nosedive. 2 peas in a pod we are here. Win Schuler's Spreadability, you can find it. Neiman's Harvest Market in Carmel, that's a great place. You can get absolutely everything from original sharp cheddar, bacon, and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. Also, Meijer locations throughout the state of Indiana and Gordon's Food Service, too. We talk about it all the time. The elite level of snacking, the spreadability of Win Schuler's. It is great on absolutely everything. Win Schuler's Spreadability. Yeah, Indiana State's 4-4. They get Eureka of Illinois. The College of Ronald Reagan at 7 o'clock at the Holman Center later on tonight. Sycamores have lost 2 straight. Pacers a loser last night to Cleveland. They get the Nuggets coming up tomorrow night. The Colts making a kicking change. We shall follow that story as I'm on here today. A little bit more about that coming up as well. And your calls. All right, if you're on hold, I'm going to get to you coming up next. 239-1070. Bullseye passes for that Big Ten championship game pregame party coming up on Saturday. That's coming up for you in the 4 o'clock hour. And Danny Kanell will give his breakdown of the matchup with IU and Ohio State coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well. So 0 reason why you should leave. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
JMV.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, so Michael Badgley done with the Colts. They're looking, maybe I'm assuming already found it. You don't, get rid of the guy and then still look, right? They've already found it. A new kicker coming up on Sunday in a must-win situation in Jacksonville to get back on track. So, do you expect this team to get back on track, or is this just going to be another incredible letdown? And honestly, this would be the largest of the letdowns. This would be like Luck not playing, Luck quitting letdown-wise. Manning not playing the entire year, which basically ended everything, and this is where we are now. But you know what I mean. Because you start out great. If you were to fade out of the picture here, this would be some, to me, unprecedented territory. And for those of you, too, that say, hey, they're 8-4 and everything is okay. When is the last time you've been told with this group everything is okay and it's turned out to be okay? When? Anybody keeping track? When's the last time that those that say everything's going to be okay? I'm not suggesting lose your mind, but I think it's okay to have conversations about things that are going haywire right now and not just sit back and go, well, they're still 8-4 and everything's going to be fine. Because when's the last time everything was fine? Anybody have a memory of the last time you felt, oh, yeah, everything's going to be just fine? Yeah, right around never. Everything was always fine during the Manning era. That's, up until it wasn't with the neck, but still. Now, it's okay to talk about something as significant as this. And make no mistake about it, I called this must win this past Sunday, and they screwed the pooch on that. This is like double secret probation must win on Sunday. When you look at the remainder of the schedule and then really sinking, not just in the playoff picture, but within your own division, and going to a place where you haven't won since 2014 and a division you haven't won since 2014. I mean, you have the opportunity, at least on Sunday, you can exercise a lot of demons that these guys were not a part of. Some were, most weren't. But for those out there that suggest, hey, there's no reason to be bombastic about this, everything's going to be okay. When's the last time everything was okay? You've been told that. Seemingly, it never works out that way. Right? Right. Be new ground if it did, I'll say that. JMV, great take on Steichen a little bit earlier. Needed to adjust his formula in the chemistry lab. Football, like life, is about adjustments. And we were talking to Stephen Holder about that yesterday. And, my thought is it's not just Steichen, but it's the offensive line. It's really everybody surrounding a quarterback that's simply not the same, and they try to do the same and put the onus the same on him. I still think he can be good and certainly better than anything else they have. But you got to view him more in the category of mobility as Flacco than you do what you saw in September and October of Daniel Jones. My thought, JMV, I think Ohio State might be excited about the game because it is IU and it is in Indy. I think that they're excited about playing someone different rather than Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin. That's from Brett. Listen, I mean, they have reputation and they do have an overall 1 seed to protect. I mean, listen, they weren't even a part of this a year ago, and we saw what happened. So they know they're Ohio State, and you can easily do it. But, I mean, you've laid claim to something. I would think you want to maintain that. And for IU, I mean, this is just one hell of a good time and uncharted territory. You know, even beyond us sitting around thinking, well, you know, you got to prove it to them, and you got Mr. Peanut sitting around on ESPN and with his monocle talking about how they don't belong and they're overrated and it's the Big Ten and it's IU and it's not the SEC. I'm not suggesting that you have to prove that to anybody else, but it does, I think, work out motivationally speaking very well. Now, Ohio State's fan base travel, they go any place, and there are going to be a lot of Ohio State fans here. How will IU Ohio State balance out, you think? And that is an incredibly heavy price for a ticket. All right, 239-1070 is that number. I'd mentioned we owe you guys some calls. JJ, bottom of the hour. Danny Kanell talks IU Ohio State coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And Mike's going to lead us here in the 4. Hello, Mike. How are you? Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Mike, I am here. I am ready for you to start yapping.
Yes, JMV. I'm just thinking, I just heard about you saying they let Michael Badgley go as far as the coach. I'm thinking that maybe they ought to sign Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker. I did not hear that Justin Tucker was a part of the workout process. So
you got to admit, though, he's been one hell of a kicker up till all that happened last year.
Yes. I've only heard like one or two dudes that have directly been involved and it had been reported to be involved in these workouts, and he was not a name that I have heard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to find anybody right now, but clearly they think whatever they have presently is going to be better than certainly what this guy has provided for them. And, you know, that third missed PAT on Sunday is going to end up being the difference in him still being here. I get it. So, yeah, I just think this, I guess, overall, Mike, I think they had to find somebody that they thoroughly trust more than they do Badgley to make the move right now in the fashion in which they're doing. And I know to us, it may not seem like, you know, the biggest of deals, but to them, you know, doing what they do this time of year, that's a pretty big deal for them to be making such a move, especially now with your third kicker. You go injury and, you know, you go Badgley didn't work out, and now you're going to be working on your third kicker of the year. That's pretty heavy duty for a team.
Oh, definitely on that one.
What else you got, Mike?
Well, I would also say, you know, I just from afar, you know, far be it for me to ever tell Shane Steichen anything about football, but this, what I've watched over the last couple of years since he's been coach, man, that dude's got poor clock management skill.
Well, part of the things...
Would you agree with that one?
Part of the things, and thank you for the call, Mike, I appreciate it. Part of the reason why, and this kind of just adds overall to the thought where people are non-believers in him actually being a high-level NFL coach, because you get too wrapped up into certain things and then other things are kind of flapping a little bit. And really my focus... And clock management against Kansas City, I thought was problematic because of play calling. And even if Jonathan Taylor wasn't going to be able to get yardage, even if they are, and they are, I mean, they're trying to stuff that, and they're putting the onus on Daniel Jones, who is certainly immobile right now, and that has been a problem. But even if you do run it, I mean, you either force, you know, the clock to run, or maybe you get a yard here or there, and, you know, Kansas City feels compelled to try to use a timeout, burn a timeout. At least you take some time away. And part of this issue we have seen over recent weeks with the Colts has been time of possession. They're being de-pantsed in that category. And you have to be able to earn a little bit of that back. And in large part, as we've talked about, that is That is coaching, that is clock management, as you bring up, that is offensive line play, because they're being dominated. I mean, Kansas City had the ball twice as long, but that is something. Rick Venturi and I have talked about this over the past couple of weeks. That is a category that you have to try to even out here moving forward. And certainly that aspect of it is on the head coach. Without question. Aaron writes this, JMV, I hope you have a snow blower, snow machine to help clear the snow. Ron DeVault, one of my good friend neighbors, comes over with the John Deere and moves that out of the way, and I'm very appreciative of that. I believe we got about 5 inches down in Bargersville. Anybody else get that much? About 5 inches? JMV, this would be a letdown like the Pacer team that started awesome with Hibbert and those guys, and then the last quarter of the season, all the Andrew Bynum season skivvies is what you're talking about right there. The El Foldo. I just think because of recent history with the Colts and the highest levels of disappointment, this will be even more impactful. Because here's what's going to happen. Remember when I said back at the end of last year that just go ahead and get rid of everybody and start new? That's exactly what everybody's going to say after this year if this thing fades. And then not only you're going to have people asking that, but if that ends up being the Colts' path, then you could have saved yourself a couple of first-rounders and certainly an entire year of time and effort. And I don't think that's the direction they'll go, but that will be the highest levels of conversation. This isn't going to work. You got to go in a different direction. You got to rebuild. Like the dude last night that said, hey, they're going to end up rebuilding and Daniel Jones isn't going to be the quarterback. My take on Daniel Jones is he has to be the quarterback. What are you rebuilding with? Where are you going? Who are you going to bring in? Who are you drafting with your non-number ones? I mean, sure, the general manager, the head coach even. But how does Daniel Jones not come back? I mean, Daniel Jones, is he firmly at fault here with the injury? I still think he's doing the best he can and trying to play through this right now. He's just been compromised for injury. But how in the world do you start a rebuild? You may end up doing that organizationally speaking or maybe coaching-wise, but how do you start that given what you're going to have to work with? And the makeup of your roster, your win-now roster, and then organizationally in a rebuild, that's weird. Actually, that's beyond weird. JMV, previous caller asked if you agree, but you were already on a rant and never answered him. What was I supposed to agree with here? I got news for you here. It says, please stop talking over your callers. I didn't talk over him. I thought he was done. Now, I'm not allowed to let a bunch of dead air hang around here. What was I supposed to let him add? More on Justin Tucker? What the hell else is there to add on Justin Tucker? See, you're going to piss me off, and I don't want to be pissed off, but you're going to piss me off here. I don't guess I get that. Hey, want me to add more on Justin Tucker? No, he's not going to be the next kicker. Okay, can I move on now? Hey, this is Joshua, and I miss him dearly. Hello, Josh. How are you, buddy?
Good.
I miss you dearly on Saturday night, Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, I like Daniel Jones. He's doing his job as a quarterback.
I think he is, too.
Yeah, and they should let him do his job. They
should protect him better so he can perform his job at a higher level, Josh.
They should protect him better, and he's doing a great job as a quarterback.
I think he's been pretty good, too, even through this injury. And that's tough to deal with. Josh, are you missing me on Saturday night, buddy?
Yeah.
We've got 4 more weeks or something like that? I miss you, too.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Josh, we'll talk to you again soon. That's Josh from the JMV Takeover. He is a good dude. Did I let him get everything out before I hung up on him?
I think you let him say his
See,
piece.
I see this Robbie James guy. I think we gave him something. I'm going to take that back what I gave you, you pain in my rear. You're talking over your guys. It was done. It's funny. Oh, I'm sorry. He said he asked you if you agreed with Steichen's clock management being a problem. Well, I went into that, too. What else you want me to do? Yes, his clock management is a problem. And his play calling is a problem, too. And the offensive line is a problem. Thank you, guys. You guys are wonderful. By the way, 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning. That is the Colts pregame huddle with me. I mentioned this, too, earlier in the week, that tomorrow, check that, Thursday, we're going to be in Columbus. But Friday, I've never been to Tiebreakers. Tiebreakers is on Mass Ave, Bud Light Blue Friday. Bud Light Blue Friday with Colts tickets. I'm assuming that's for the Niners game, but we'll also mix in. I think I've got some special guests, some former IU footballers, hopefully that are going to be either on the show or a part of the show too. So I can't wait for that. Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. I've never been there, and if you have, you can tell me what that place is all about. JMV, 15 inches in Northwest Illinois since Saturday. That would bum me out incredibly. I think we got 5 around here. 5's way, early December, and 5 inches of snow around here is way damn too much. Easily way damn too much. Duncan is going to rock it coming up next. Hello, Duncan. How are you?
JMV, how you doing, buddy?
Is it like Duncan Penderhughes? Is that who I'm talking to right now?
No.
You know what that reference is?
It's Dunkman from Twitter.
I believe Duncan Penderhughes, was he not Kid from Kid and Play and Class Act, I think?
Yeah, I always get Mariano Duncan. Remember him for the Reds?
Hey, from the 19... this is a true story, Duncan. Mariano Duncan from that 90 team, wire to wire, was one of my favorite Reds of all time. Sneaky favorite Reds of all time, Mariano Duncan.
That's that 90s World Series team, right? The 90 team?
1990, wire to wire, Mariano Duncan.
Yep.
Indeed.
Right on. Now, I just wanted to call in and let you know I work outside in the snow and it's cold, and it was a rough one today. And just now, before getting off work, saying that we waived the kicker kind of made my day. Last couple of weeks have been rough. And with Daniel Jones getting his leg injury, it feels like the calf thing just happens around Indianapolis. Like, we can't have nothing nice. It just somehow a calf injury always happens. But I know it's broke. But I just want to get your take on who did they work out. I'm sorry if I missed it.
There was, and I may mispronounce his name, the only guy that I saw, and I think Joel A. Erickson had this at the Star, he was a former Saints kicker. Is it Brett Group or Group? I don't even know how to pronounce his name. So I really haven't seen too many guys, at least to me, that have been recognizable. That they're working recognizable for us that they've been working out. James, have you seen any more other than the guy that Joel was talking about? And I'm sure that there are more guys that we're aware of out there, but I don't know anybody else. And I'm guessing with this, Duncan, too, that somebody, I think it's beyond just giving up on Badgley because you just can't do what he has done in 7 games and missing 3 PATs. But, you've had to lock in on somebody that you absolutely believe in because this would be a tough decision this time of year.
Hopefully Ballard's got his eyes on somebody that we can get it going again. But that's all I was wondering. I'll let you go. Real quick, I need to tell everybody get off your back, JV.
I know it. Tell him, man. Get off my back, man. I'm a good dude.
Get off your back, JV.
Thanks, Duncan. I appreciate it. Stay warm, brother.
Right on, man. See you.
Yeah, Brett Groupie is who I was talking. That was what Joel A. Erickson had in mind. Thank you, Duncan, for that. That's outstanding. Yeah, Young Ho Koo last night. I've never seen that. I've never seen a place kicker kick that far in front of the ball. I mean, seriously, I'm surprised he didn't get injured. And the Jackson Dart on the sidelines reaction of what the hell was classic, too. I have never seen that. I was like flipping around last night between that and Monday Night Football, and I get the NBA package now, so I'm watching a lot of these NBA games, and that's it.
I'm surprised he didn't get the holder injured with how big of a hit he took after that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mike Chappell says one of the kickers brought in for a tryout, and this is Blake Groupie is his name. And he suggests that is a name you keep in mind. And for Duncan, who asked the question, Robbie, I get all butthurt easy, don't I? 3 years with the Saints, 75 of 94 on field goal opportunities. That is 79, 80%, if you want to round up. 86 of 88 on PATs. That is according to Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. Blake Groupie is who Joel mentioned, and that's the stat line because Duncan wanted to know. All right, quick break. We'll come back. I know Roger and Terry, they're lurking. I know JJ is going to be on here, and Danny Kanell is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. So what does the outside world think about IU football, the program, and 1v2 coming up here on Saturday night? Downtown Indy. The collision. And whether or not this comes down to Heisman, is it Mendoza saying love have something to do with it? Mendoza saying love. That sounds like a song I could come up with right there. Quick break, we'll come back. Bullseye passes also in the next 15 if somebody kindly reminds me to do that too for the pregame party on Saturday. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. All you got to do is look outside, look at the roads, and understand why you need that support. AAA.com today. 93.5 107.5 The Fan.
Bobby, I'm your white knight.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
There's the Christmas movie that we all love. Crank this up. I'm not Julian saying, I'm just saying. Blake Groupie has been signed to the practice squad by the Colts, according to Garofalo. Badgley cut Groupie in. There's a history here. Brian Mason, Colts special teams coordinator, coached him at Notre Dame back in 2022. Of course, Groupie, after they decided to waive Badgley, is in line to kick in Jacksonville coming up this weekend. Blake Groupie. And that damn straight better be how you pronounce his name, because I am not going back. It is it. You know me, once I get a name pronunciation down, even if it's inaccurate, that's where I'm going. Blake Groupie is it. Just so you know. All right, so Danny Kanell, top of the hour. Did we get a winner for those passes? Man, look at all the people who wanted in there. I'm looking at the text line right now. You guys are lighting that up. Lighting up the text line. There's like 5 "Why are you so butthurts" in there, too. Hey, listen. I turned 56 in 2 weeks. By the way, we'll be live at Twin Peaks in Greenwood for that, so you know how well that's going to go. I have reached a point, if I want to be butthurt on a particular snowy, cold-ass Tuesday in early December, then I think you should just clear a path for my butthurtedness. Thank you very much. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. I know he probably would concur with this. He's from Pacers TV. He's our good friend from Zionsville. Also, I think the home of Brian Mason, Jeremiah Johnson. Hello, JJ.
JMV, how are you doing this Tuesday?
I am outstanding. How are you doing this Tuesday?
Well, what are you upset about? The snow?
Nah, some guy was being pissy with me, so I was pissy right back. Yeah.
All right, well.
It's a pissy duel. And you know what? There are never any winners in a pissing match.
Not at all. Not at all. I've never been in one of those, so I don't know. Yeah.
And we do no crossing of swords or anything like that. But yeah, never a winner there. Speaking of non-winner last night, I'm going to give it up to Pascal Siakam, because you can sense, and how would you not, the frustration. But he just goes out there and he plays. And with the season as they're going through right now, I have such a high level of admiration for that.
Yeah, I mean, you thought you knew what you were getting when you acquired him almost 2 years ago now, and then you learned just how special he is. And then I think he's taken it to another level over the last couple of months, and that's just strictly what he's been able to do both on the court in a scoring capacity, much more than it was ever asked of him over the last 2 seasons with the Pacers. But then, as you said, really leading this team. And maybe at one point in his career he was a lead-by-example guy, but he is leading by example, and also with his voice and also with his actions. And some of these times when they get into some ruts or some bad stretches of the game, it's Pascal Siakam who is pulling them out of those stretches. And, when he went to the bench without 8 minutes to play, I'm sure there was a scenario where if they got it back to 10 or 8, they would have put it back in. But it almost felt to me like you've done your job, you've done your duties tonight. You probably get the rest of the night off. If we need you, we'll call on you. But you cannot complain about anything Pascal Siakam has done this season. And that's what I kind of go to the arena every single night. I look forward to watching Pascal Siakam, among others. But, I mean,
yeah.
He's the leader of the team.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing. You be a fan, right? And, hey, rah-rah, I'm a fan. But I just have, like, basketball admiration for a dude that you kind of understand the situation, And it's almost like you see the consequences and you got to live with it, but you still go out there and play your ass off. And by the way, JJ is playing consistently different than what he was used to playing and having that success of a year ago. There is so much involved in this where I have that high level of admiration for what he's about.
You know, I found myself having the conversation with Eddie Gill over the first month or two of the season about how this experience now could benefit some of the younger players next season and when you get some of these guys back. But I actually, as crazy as it sounds, think that this experience will help Pascal Siakam. It'll help those other players understand that maybe he was a little underutilized at times over the last two seasons, and you see now what he is capable of. And if you just add just one player, if you just add Tyrese Halliburton to the mix right now, or even to say, you know, throw Aaron Nesmith back out there and Obi Toppin off the bench, but if you just add Tyrese Halliburton, think about how defenses won't be able to, you know, make their whole game plan to stop Pascal Siakam. And if they do that, then how Tyrese will find him and what he is going to be capable of. I just hope that, you know, through this season he doesn't wear out and you don't put too many miles on Pascal Siakam so he's ready to go fresh next season. And I'm not saying that this season is over by any means, but with what he's done right now, he is certainly he's moving up the ladder pretty quickly, and I'm guessing a lot of fans' favorite all-time Pacers.
Well, I mean, you could just see when he's out there, and I know McConnell didn't play in the second half last night because of Carlisle concerns, but you can also see it when he's out there. I am going to tell everybody, you and I were having a text back and forth, and there was a point during the game last night where I think I'll quote myself, I sent this to you, I've seen enough of Garrison Matthews, and then he rattled off like 3 consecutive threes, so maybe I haven't seen enough.
Let the record state you initiated this text. I was simply responding.
No. It was all me. I said, I have seen enough of this guy. Because that was right after I said that the Robinson Earl couldn't shoot a lick. So, which I think is still true. But it's weird. Matthews ends up knocking down some shots and was, you know, one of the dudes last night in a game that I guess we were kind of searching for dudes.
I can understand the way that game started, and it just kind of felt to me like those first 4 or 5 minutes. It's probably the only time this season where the crowd wasn't really good. I probably would attribute it a little bit to the weather and maybe a Monday night, but there have been some other Monday night games with great crowds. So the building just didn't have that juice, and then the players didn't really do some of the things that they normally do to get the crowd into the game. And so the atmosphere just wasn't great. And on the other end of the court, you had Cleveland, who'd lost 3 in a row, and Donovan Mitchell just made it his mission to make sure that did not go to 4. But with Garrison Matthews, you know he's a shooter, and I thought the quotes coming out after the game, when he talked with Pat Boyle, and also, you know, the article I read from Dustin DePirick was spot on, and it makes sense. You don't think about it when you're watching that he had not been playing on any team, and to jump right in and not only try to understand the Pacers system, but be expected to, you know, knock down all your shots, and granted, he missed a lot of them early. It takes a little bit of time. You see that from some guys on the Pacers coming back from injury, how it takes them, you know, 7 to 10 days to really look like themselves. And so that's why it did make sense to me. I know you had an extra 2 weeks available where you could have picked up another player on a 10-day. Rather than go get someone else, how about the guy that's been here for a couple weeks and maybe he's underperformed a little bit for what he's capable of, but you see a hot streak coming. And so for however long he's here, you know he is a shooter, and last night could be something that helps him for at least the rest of this week, and hopefully it works out for both him personally and the Pacers.
Certainly, the biggest difference was Donovan Mitchell, as you referenced, but there are a couple of moments in that game when the Pacers were on a run, headed down to 8, maybe even 6 at one point, and Tyrese Proctor got a chance to reset off of some offensive glass work, which was incredibly robust, way too much for the Pacers to be able to handle last night for the Cavaliers on the glass. And I thought he knocked down a couple of big threes in moments where the Pacers looked like they're about ready to get back into it.
96-90 towards the end of the third quarter, and you thought, all right, well, they are right there despite really not having a very good game. And he makes it 99-90 off a three, off of a second chance opportunity. Then they got another free throw. And then all of a sudden they start the third quarter scoring the first 5 or 6 points and kind of created too much separation. So between Proctor and Jalen Tyson, I mean, that guy, I was very impressed with. He made all the hustle plays. He created some of those second chance opportunities. And I found myself looking at that Cleveland roster and the 8 or 9 players that played, and they had 6 rotation players not available. Now, obviously, they had Evan Mobley and they had Donovan Mitchell, so you could argue they had their 2 best players. But when those guys are back, I feel like Tyson has earned significant playing time, and there are a lot of teams that would like to have what he at least was able to show everyone last night. And granted, it was one of his best games, so maybe it's not like that every time. I don't see every Cleveland game, but I was pretty impressed with what Jalen Tyson was able to do.
We're going to get a Jokic sighting coming up tomorrow night, and I saw the Nuggets losing in Dallas. The Nuggets had a bad fourth quarter, without question. Jokic had another pretty big triple-double, but it looks like they're missing some dudes, and some of the dudes they're counting on, like Jamal Murray didn't play that well last night. Cam Johnson hadn't played really that well so far this season, trying to find his role and his fit there. But Jokic is still the dude, and if there's one guy that I want to go to a game and watch, which I'm going to be courtside watching tomorrow night, it is Nikola Jokic.
I think it's worth the price of admission.
He is.
The way he does things, until you see it, and it's taken me a couple of times, not recently, but way back when he started his career, where I was a little bit disbelieving. How is he getting all these numbers? Is he really that good? Let me tell you, he really is that good. The passes he makes, you don't see other players make, let's say with the exception of maybe Tyrese Halliburton, and he's the center. And if you give him any space, scoring's probably his third favorite thing to do, but if you give him space, he's going to knock down the shot. So, Rick Carlisle said this in some of our pregame interviews, and he's someone that, he takes joy in the assists more than the points, and that's why I referenced Tyrese Halliburton, because he's similar in that area. You ask about availability, their injury report did just come out, and Jamal Murray's listed as questionable. They will not have Aaron Gordon. Jokic is on there, but he's listed as probable. So by the letter of the law, he's about a 75% chance of playing most of the time when a player is listed as probable. You do see them out there. So for your sake and all those that want to see him in person, I hope he plays. I hope the Pacers get to see him, because it makes for a better challenge. You don't always want to see teams come in and not have their best players. So they'll be shorthanded. The Pacers, they're already shorthanded. But if they have Jokic and the Pacers have Siakam, then you've got 2 stars going on it.
Yeah, the Cam Johnson thing is weird so far. And I've watched him in a number of games, and he is searching for a fit right now, and any level, not just consistency, but any level of positivity. And when you lose a game, you score 41 in the first and then 17 in the fourth, and your best player, the best player, arguably, if there is an argument in the NBA, Jokic goes for 29, 20, and 16, or 29, 20, and 13, and you lose that game at home. That's a rough one.
It was crazy night in the NBA because that happened, and you do want to tip your cap to Ryan Nembhard. I'm not sure. Did you see the stats
I saw that.
He
had 29 for Dallas in that win last night.
Yeah, and on a 2-way contract, undrafted, so you feel really good for him. He didn't even play in the Pacers game against Dallas, so what I do hope is when Indiana plays Dallas at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the Nembhard brothers will have a chance to go at each other. But did you also see the Wizards beat the Bucks? So every once in a while you have these random
I watched that.
In the NBA.
I definitely watched. I definitely watched. There's nobody more checked out right now than Giannis in the NBA. He is completely checked out with that group.
Well, he's been hurt, so he checked back in about a week ago.
He's checked out on the floor.
Yeah. Did you see that he deleted some social media posts? I wouldn't even know how to go back and delete everything, but sounds like he removed some bucks from his timeline.
He, I've said this before. The former 33 here is going to end up playing alongside Karl Anthony Towns and Miles McBride up there next year, maybe even sooner than that if we're not careful here, because there's not, I don't think, much intent for him to stay there longer than what he will. All right, JJ, I'm going to see you tomorrow night. I'm going to see some Jokic and the Pacers playing hard and our guy Pascal Siakam tomorrow night.
I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully the concession stands at Gainbridge Fieldhouse will have cottage cheese for you.
They better, but they do have beer, so that'll be okay.
Okay. That's in the diet.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, JJ. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right there. Top of the hour, Danny Kanell. They have bourbon and beer. I'll be okay. because I'm Dean Martin. If not cottage cheese, we're going to have some beer. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Bullseye passes as well. And you and I at 239-1070 on the other side. AAA Membership Lounge. Become a AAA member today. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Grab you a tub of Windshielers. Even this great Canadian band of the 1970s, Bachman Turner Overdrive, would dig on some Windshielers. Like Randy Bachman would go, yeah, put that thing on a cracker. Now, Windschuler, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. Windschuler spreadability, you can find at Neiman's Harvest Market. Meijer locations throughout the state of Indiana. Does not matter a Meijer location nearest you. I always find it weird. Why is there no Meijer location in Bloomington? Do we know? Why no location in Bloomington? But no, Meijer locations throughout the state of Indiana. Gordon's Food Service. Telling you, high-level spreadability and snacking going on. Grab you a tub like Randy Bachman might. Windschuler's spreadability. 2025 football season. About the 2025 holiday season, too. You guys are digging that. JMV, what say you about the Lane Kiffin situation? I say this. Yet another reason why Scott Dolson was genius not to jack around, and if you have a guy that you want, get a guy and keep him and not have to mess around with that. Not suggesting that Kurt Sigdetti would act like that twerp, but you save yourself all the crap. You can concentrate on what matters, football, as we'll talk about coming up at the top of the hour, and the Big Ten title game. Not to be messing around. You imagine having to deal with that? Like you're Ole Miss and you're going to go into the playoff and, hey, great. Can you imagine that there are some out there that actually felt that he should be coaching Ole Miss? What? He just got hired by LSU. So with that, then hell, I should just be on every radio station in Indianapolis. What the hell? Why not? Can I be on every radio station in Indianapolis? Or do I have this stupid-ass non-compete still?
I think you might have a non-compete. I don't know your contract, though, so.
Did Lane Kiffin have a non-compete? I think I'm just going to be on every radio station in Indy. Why not? Nah. He's a pain. Scott Dolson handled that perfectly. Even if it wouldn't turn out like that. And we'll have more on IU, Ohio State. And Danny Kanell is going to join us. Sit tight for that on the other side. And more bullseye passes to give away as well. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
JMV.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So, Garage Grill and Pub in Columbus, Indiana, coming up on Thursday. Me, Brett Halverson, Week 14 picks, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Join us, Bart County, Friday at Tiebreakers. So, Mass Ave, brand new play. At least it's brand new to me. Hell, I've never been there. So we are going to unload our level of cool on Tiebreakers with you, and so much IU love in the realm of football coming up. Mass Ave Friday, Bud Light Blue Friday. We'll also have Colts tickets. I think that's Colts Niners tickets. Colts, by the way, cut Michael Badgley today. Blake Groupie, the former Fighting Irish kicker who was a kicker when Brian Mason, the Colts special teams coordinator, was in South Bend. He is your new kicker. He's added to the practice squad, according to Mike Garofalo. And we'll be watching that dude hopefully make something and not miss PATs coming up on Sunday in Jacksonville in the how should I put this? The mustest of the must-wins for the Colts coming up on Sunday. A place they haven't won since 2014, a division they haven't won since 2014. It's about damn time something changed. New kicker. Back to that in a second, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he's a former collegiate quarterback, former NFL quarterback, friend of the show. You can find him a variety of places, and especially with betonline.ag. Updated college football playoff, Heisman Conference Championship lines, and more. And we'll be rocking that with Danny Kanell, who joins us now again on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Danny. How are you?
What's going on? I am fantastic. I am headed your way on Thursday.
What?
Come up for the I'll be up there for the Big Ten championship game. I'm covering it with CBS Sports. We're sending a crew. I'll be on set with Cardale Jones, former Ohio State quarterback, Jenny Dell, who does a great job as a sideline reporter for CBS's Big Ten package. So yeah, man, I'm fired up. I can't wait.
Danny,
I heard I'm gonna have to bring a parka.
The weather has taken an unfortunate turn. However, Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. What are you doing on Friday afternoon? I
might be a Tiebreakers.
I've got the refreshments for you, Danny. I do.
Right.
I mean, I may not have much, but I've got the adult refreshments for everybody.
All right, have your producer text me your info, and I'll try to swing
You got
by.
it, man.
That'd
Well,
be
we would absolutely love to see you. So we'll go ahead and I tell you what. Let's start with the Heisman race. How do you have it right now, and how might some of these performances here on the inbound end up affecting that race?
I think that's probably the biggest thing at stake in this game is the Heisman Trophy, because win or lose, both teams advancing. Sure, maybe there's a bye on the line if it gets sideways, one or the other. But I think the Heisman Trophy is probably going to be won or lost in this game. Now, there is a chance, because as much as people have talked about Ohio State's defense, no one's really talking about Indiana's defense, who has been unbelievable, the second in scoring in the country. If, let's say, Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sang go head-to-head, and it's more of a defensive battle, and it's a 17-14 game, they kind of don't do much. Diego Pavia is just lurking. Now, he's sitting in the clubhouse, right? He doesn't have to play anymore, and he's already booked a 10-game season, and he's been phenomenal for Vanderbilt. He's taken that place, that program places it hasn't been. I think he could steal it, but I've been saying for a month that I think the winner is going to come from the Big Ten championship game. I do think one of those quarterbacks, and I'm selfish. I'd love to see them both go toe-to-toe and make it even harder on Heisman voters, see them have a great back-and-forth type game. But I do think that the Heisman Trophy is probably won in this game.
So, Danny Kanell of CBS, and of course, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can find out the stuff you need to know, betonline.ag. They're updating the college football playoff Heisman Conference Championship lines as well. As it stands, I think -5.5. That is Ohio State. And we know about what happened in Columbus a year ago in November to IU in that road test against the Buckeyes. How things might, or certainly for IU from their angle, need to change coming up on Saturday night in that championship game?
It's funny. I was talking to Kirk Cignetti probably in early October. Maybe I think it was before they played Oregon. And I just asked him a question similar, like, what needs to be different? What'd you learn from playing against Ohio State last year and Notre Dame in the playoffs? And he goes, simple. He goes, we needed more dudes. I mean, that was his answer. And they went out and got him. Like, this is a different roster that is upgraded. This team is better across the board as it's in its entirety. So I think that's the big thing that's different about this year is Indiana is a better football team. And I think that's great news. And I think they've kind of, people again have kind of taken shots about their schedule, but the win in Eugene, I think, has looked better and better as the season has gone on, because I think Oregon is a really good football team, and Indiana went in there and dominated that game physically. Like, that was the thing that jumped out to me. So I don't think there'll be any question of if they have the dudes that can go toe-to-toe with Ohio State. And with that being, like, and Ohio State has probably the best roster in the country. Indiana's not that far behind. Sure, they don't have the star power of Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Two guys are probably going to go, in the top 10 of the draft whenever they're draft eligible, because Jeremiah Smith can't even come out now. And Carnell Tate is an incredible wide receiver. But, I mean, I've seen what Indiana can do. Omar Cooper stepped up when Elijah Surratt, since he's been hurt. Elijah Surratt, if he's healthy, he's as good as anybody in the country. They've got an offensive line that's been upgraded. So I do think this Indiana team is just a better football team across the board.
You mentioned that Kurt Cignetti told you in October that they needed better dudes. And to me, I think it's easily the offensive line. And the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, is a friend of mine. He told me during the summertime, hey, the thing you're going to notice the most is what you're going to see on the defensive and the offensive lines, and an upgrade, maybe to a point of physicality that we've never seen with an IU football program. But for you, where has that dude upgrade been most noticeable this season?
Oh, I think it's very clear it's the offensive and defensive line. When you look at the offensive line alone, they went out and got Pat Coogan, the center from Notre Dame, and they got Khalil Benson. They went out and got some guys in the portal to help lift it up. They got a defensive end in Stephen Daly. They've got some weapons there to add in, and they got more depth. That's the thing that probably jumps out. And that's really the difference, because there's a lot of teams, like, everybody's got even at Indiana, and, really since Kirk Cignetti's gotten there, everybody has 4 stars and 5 stars. It's just how many of them do you have? And even then, it's like everybody has 3 stars that are backups. But how many do you have, so that when you start getting injuries, or you start getting into the grind of the season, when it's week 12 or it's the Big Ten championship game, that you can roll deeper, and that your backup comes in to give your starter a rest, and it's not that much of a difference. It's not a huge drop-off. That's, I think, in general, is just the depth on the offensive and defensive line for Indiana, where they're that much deeper, and, by the way, they're that much more physical.
Danny Kanell of CBS and BetOnline.ag. He's joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Who's been most impressive to you this season from a Heisman angle? Has it been Mendoza, or has it been Sayin?
So I think they're both awesome, and I'll just be honest with you. Yeah. I don't love Diego Pavia's antics. Like, I would prefer my quarterback to handle himself the way that Fernando and Julian Sayin handle themselves. But watching Vanderbilt and how much he has to put the team on his back, there's a really strong case that he's the best quarterback, the best, most valuable player in college football. But I do think, like, this is a massive upgrade. And that was the one thing, because I was pretty familiar with Fernando Mendoza's game at Cal. I've watched him a lot last year, saw what he did on a pretty bad football team, saw his escapability, and knew he would bring leadership. So I thought they were going to get a significant upgrade, and they have. And he's operated close to flawless for most of the season. And then I think Julian Sayin has been, like, I was very skeptical for a guy that's a freshman. Granted, he's a redshirt. He was there last year. But for him to step in and complete, almost 80% of his passes, and even with the weapons, even against, lesser competition when they're two touchdown favorites, to complete 80% in, over the course of an entire season, there's a lot of guys, and I kid you not, there's a lot of starters that wouldn't be able to do that in 7-on-7 drills. To do that in competition is just outstanding. And I thought he really, and both of them, I've really been impressed with both of them. I think this is going down to the wire, because I was impressed with Mendoza. Like, you always want to see how a quarterback does when he's faced with adversity. And I thought what he was facing against Penn State the entire game, He was not having his best game. He was getting a lot of pressure. And even on the last drive of the game, you remember, I'm sure you do, the way it started off was a sack. He's faced with 2nd and 22, and he just steps up and boom, right down the field. And the drive and the throws, not only the last one, but several of the throws were big-time throws. I was like, oh, you've got a guy. And I really haven't seen that from Julian Sand, although I will say for what he did last week, he kind of had his little bit of adversity when he threw a pick early in the game against Michigan, and all of a sudden the crowd's enthusiastic. And I was very curious to see how he responded, and he responded in a big way. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns overall in the game. That was really his own mistake. But I still do feel better about Mendoza because he's been in more adverse situations. More when you look up at the scoreboard, it's like, man, we need a drive. And whether those were at Cal or Indiana this year, I feel more confident. And yet, Julian saying there's no reason to doubt him, but he really hasn't been in that position where he's been trailing in the second half. So I'm very, very curious to see if Indiana can do that, if they can make him uncomfortable. And even in the fourth quarter, if it's a fourth quarter game, that can impact you a little bit differently. Every window gets a little bit tighter. There's that much more pressure and mistakes are magnified. That's the one thing I'm very curious to see about Julian Sand, but I feel very good about Mendoza bouncing back no matter what the situation is.
He is Danny Kanell with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. There have been many to question whether or not having a championship game does really either one of these two teams in general any good in terms of losing, certainly. Now, it may be old hats in the past to Ohio State because they didn't even make it a year ago, and still we saw what they did. But for Indiana and its fan base, this is absolutely a level of incredible that they have never seen. So I maintain that is still important, but do you have an argument for this maybe working against either team in this case and the overall usefulness of this championship game situation maybe not being what the fan base here is excited about seeing coming up on Saturday night?
I think conference championships in general have been completely diminished. Now, there is some, there's some value in them, especially if you're the Big 12 and you're BYU. You win, you're in. If you don't, you're out. The ACC, I really hope it's not Duke and they have to look at a 7-5 team looking at the playoffs and probably on the outside in, and then the ACC might not get a team in. But clearly, it's big for Virginia and Duke. They have to win. But the SEC and Big Ten, they don't bring any value whatsoever. And I am old school. Like I like to, and I appreciated that was always one of our goals at Florida State was to win the ACC. But I have 4 ACC championship rings. I've never really bragged about them, but I love talking about my national championship. Like that's the one that resonates. I work with Damian Harris. He played at Alabama, and he was trying to say, oh, the SEC championships, they matter to SEC players. They're just different. And I asked him, I'm like, I've never heard you talk. I asked him, I said, who did you beat in your SEC championships? He couldn't even remember, but he could remember who he beat in his 3 national title games. It's different from a perspective. And then now with the playoffs, it just doesn't fit in our playoff system. It really doesn't bring you any benefit. Now, I do think it'd be an amazing accomplishment, and I don't want to diminish that. If Indiana wins this Big Ten and they're the Big Ten champion, that is unbelievable. But I still think Kirk Cignetti and this fan base and these players, they want to win a national championship. I think that's the end goal. That's what everybody plays for, and Indiana's elevated to a place where that's their goal as well. So I look at it, I wonder where I think they're probably going to go extinct within 5 years, and they're going to figure out a playoff system where this weekend is really a first round of the playoff games, and I think that'll be a better system because I'm used to watching sports like NFL and NBA and professional baseball, MLB, when once postseason play starts, it's win and advance, lose and go home. And it's just weird to lose and not have to go home. And like, where does that do to your psyche? And really in football, which is such a dangerous game, there's nothing really good that can come out of it, especially if you've secured your spot. There's only injuries that can happen. So I just think we're in this weird spot right now with all these issues college football is facing. That's just one of many.
It's weird, too, because when you think about it, then if this turns into like a weekend of playoff games, then these playoff teams are going to be done before the bowl season even gets underway, which is really awkward, too.
Yeah. The bowl system, I think, is going to have to be retweaked, too. And, I guess you could look at it where it's similar to the basketball, where there's the NIT tournament, and maybe that's what the bowls turn into, is sort of, and that's kind of always what they have been. It's still a reward for teams that win 7 or 8 games and don't make the playoff. But we still have that now, and we saw that in the 4-team playoff, where you'd have a couple games after the first round of the first 4 teams playing in the semifinals. It still feels weird, and I don't think it doesn't make much sense, but that's the beautifully flawed system that we're working with.
Yeah, it is. Danny Kanell of CBS, there's no doubt about that. And betonline.ag, that's got the latest in college football playoff, Heisman, and conference championship lines. And speaking of the playoffs, you mentioned the win in your in mentality BYU is going to be set with coming up as well. What do you think is ultimately going to be the odd team out in the playoff scenario here?
So tonight is actually the first ranking, besides the first one, when you're kind of curious of where is the committee going to have all these teams adjusted. Tonight, because I've been bored, the last 2 Tuesdays, I've been kind of bored. Like, there's nothing really that was going to change. Tonight, I think you're going to learn a lot. And I think the debate between Miami and Notre Dame is going to be interesting. What do we learn? Does Miami potentially jump Notre Dame? Does that get them in there? And I think there's some teams that are really in a dicey spot because of the BYU situation and because the ACC situation. Like, it's just, like, if you see Duke win, I do think that opens up the door for James Madison potentially to be a second group of 5 team, which is nuts. And I don't think they should get in. I'd rather them say, you know what, we're going to take a 5th, SEC team or a 4th or 5th Big Ten team as opposed to those teams. And it might sound elitist, but the group of 5 is a different level. It's just a different level, and that's why we call it something different. But I do think BYU, if BYU wins, that could put potentially Alabama in trouble if they lose the SEC championship game. It could put Notre Dame in trouble if they're right on the bubble, and that could bump them out. I mean, BYU is the ultimate bid stealer that we could see happen. And then I do wonder what the committee does if Georgia against Bama, if Georgia wins big, and I'll say big is like 17 to 21 points, I think Alabama's playoff spot is very much in jeopardy. And then you'll hear the clamoring from Greg Sankey saying, why are we playing these SEC championship games if one of our teams that was in is going to get left out? But I do think Alabama is in jeopardy, especially if BYU knocks off Texas Tech, and then you have 2 Big 12 teams. It's funny about that and moving on to the whole coaching thing, and obviously the Lane Kiffin saga took over college football over the weekend. And it's more over for a month. Yeah, it's more for a month. Yeah, it's more funny than anything, I think. But I think it magnifies to me what Scott Dolson, the IUAD, did in sidestepping any controversy whatsoever. And a lot of people question how much money and what they did to invest in Kurt Cignetti. But clearly in this college football landscape, certainly now, that was the right move to make. What's best for your team now, and certainly unprecedented territory, what should be what is best for your program for the future. I think that decision earlier this season is even more magnified with this stinking soap opera, as you mentioned, we had to deal with Ole Miss and LSU and Lane Kiffin the last month. Yeah, it's nuts. The college football economy makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to read you a quote from Louisiana's governor that he made after they fired Brian Kelly. He said, "We are not going down a failed path. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M, $70-some million. Right now we've got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again." They just did it again. Yeah. they just paid Lane Kiffin $90 million. It's probably all fully guaranteed. If it doesn't work out in 4 years, they're going to be sitting on $40 million. They're going to have to pay him to fire him. And the football economy makes no sense. And I think Kurt Cignetti is a great coach. But even at the time, I was like, is any program ever going to say, you know what, we're not going to make that mistake? And again, this is not a knock on Kurt Cignetti. I've said the same thing about Rhett Lashley and Matt Rule. By the way, I wonder how Nebraska fans, since Matt Rule, got his extension and they kept him and secured him at Nebraska so that he wouldn't leave to Penn State, they're 2-2. They haven't been very good. Now their quarterback's thinking about leaving. Like, they could already be regretting the extension they gave Matt Rule. It's just at some point I do wonder if any athletic director or administration across the country is like, we're not falling for it. We'll go find another coach. If you want to leave, go ahead. but yet they're all terrified because if Kirk Cignetti would have left to Penn State, I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he stayed, and he would have won a national championship at Penn State in year one. Indiana fans have been livid. Like, what are we doing? Why'd we let him go? So I understand it, but it is just it's funny money. It really is. It's just like monopoly money that's just being spent.
Well, it is too, but you have to, I think, now try, and you're watching Ole Miss, protect your assets as much as possible. And I think with IU in terms, this is such new territory that I don't know what else you would do. And certainly in this new landscape, you mentioned the economic landscape of college athletics in general here, but the new landscape to where you can be like IU, and I've called them the infiltrator. I mean, like old school programs don't like it, but you can be IU and be sustainable now because of the economic situation that's going on and the transfer portal. If you have a formula that clearly in the past 2 years, like Kurt Cignetti, works. So I don't know what else you do other than do what you did and have to sidestep a lot of the controversy that others may end up having to deal with.
Right. And I love the fact that Indiana's good now and Vanderbilt's good now. I mean, all people wanted for the past 15 years was, can we get somebody else besides Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, or Ohio State? And then occasionally you get an LSU. But, there were really a small group of teams that could win a national championship. And now that everyone's been on a level playing field and everyone who was doing things the right way and wasn't paying the players and was really, trying to play, having student athletes, now that everyone – if they want to, can invest, and now we've seen what happens. Like, Indiana's relevant, and they're not going away. Vanderbilt is relevant. They just signed a 5-star quarterback that they flipped from Georgia. Like, they've gotten a little taste of it. Now their boosters are kicking in. Last year was Arizona State and SMU. I think it's great for the sport because now you've got a whole, how many more fan bases have hope and optimism that feel like, if those teams can do it, we can too. But I do think it takes a special coach like Kirk Cignetti and a lot of financial backing, a commitment that Indiana's made to the Hoosier football program. That is big reason why they're where they are, and why they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and it also has repercussions for every other program, especially the upstarts, the up-and-comers who think that they can get there by similar measures, and they're all out there to try this now. So it is incredible. It's Danny Kanell again, CBS, betonline.ag for the latest in college football playoff odds, the Heisman odds, the conference championship lines, and more for you. And, yes, tiebreakers on Mass Ave. I'm going to have James, my producer, send you a message. And please, we are more than welcome to join us on Friday. We would love to have you. A lot of conversation and adult refreshments that we all enjoy.
I love it. I'm going to try to come by. I know I got a couple interviews. I'm supposed to get Kirk Cignetti on Friday, but around work, man, I'll come out there as soon as I'm done.
You can decompress with us at Tiebreakers on Friday.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Danny Kanell on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Yeah, get him out the Tiebreakers with all of us coming up on Friday. So, would you be surprised if I told you, not that the Colts did some work on Maddox Trejo, but also kicked the tires on Justin Tucker, which was asked of me a little bit earlier. What if I told you they did? Would you buy it? The Colts have a new kicker. It's Blake Grupe. But who else did they try out? We'll get to that coming up on the other side. Your calls on the other side the rest of the way. And a busy rest of the week starting in studio tomorrow, but then on the road in Columbus. We're going to be at the Garage Grill and Pub coming up with Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots on Thursday. And Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. That is a Bud Light Blue Friday with lots of guests and an incredible level of fun. Really, both times, I cannot wait to see you guys out with us. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Your calls and your text line messages coming up with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
JMV.
Son, you got a panty on your head. Just drive fast, okay?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Danny Kanell, CBS, a little bit earlier. Hopefully he joins us on Friday, too. We're at Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. Bud Light Blue Friday, that is a destination for you and I coming up on Friday. Columbus, Indiana on Thursday. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Me, Brent Halverson. The Garage Pub and Grill. Anybody been to the Garage Pub and Grill? And by the way, I've been to neither. Now, Chris tells me via text that they have some great burgers at Tiebreakers. He's been there. I've not been to Tiebreakers nor the Garage in Columbus, and I cannot wait to break in brand new locations. And a shout out to Spencer Thompson. I know of Thompson Furniture down in Columbus who's going to join us as well. I think Matt from AAA is going to be there. We're going to have a lot of you with us in Columbus on Thursday. Cannot wait for that. So Blake Grupe, that's who the Colts signed to the practice squad. He will kick coming up on Sunday. Michael Badgley was waived a little bit earlier. Mike Garofalo has mentioned that evidently, I take that back. This is Tom Pelissero's report, that evidently before they selected Grupe, the Colts also worked out Justin Tucker, but decided to go a different direction. In case you were wondering. By the way, too, shout out to J-Law with the Win Schuler spreadability in snack chips at Meijer. And speaking of Meijer, Shane says Bloomington's too far south from Meijer. I believe there's a Meijer location right in Evansville where our good friend Gritty calls home. So not too far south. JMV, I think JT needs 25-plus touches a game no matter what these last 5 games. If we're going to go out sorry on the season, I'd rather end it feeding JT. Shane also needs to find other ways to get him the ball. Now, they did try to throw him the ball, and he dropped a pass this past Sunday. But I get what you're saying. And I also get the fact that the defense, they are now not only blitzing an injured quarterback, but the thing I think they need to do more than anything, you've got to take some shots down the field. And that means you're going to have to pass pro better against a sure as hell blitz than what we have seen. I think that with what you're talking about, I understand, Shane, absolutely. And then not having Daniel Jones be what he was in September, he's just not. And you're going to say, well, Daniel Jones is, not a guy that gets the ball down but you can utilize Alec Pierce, who clearly has been your best wide receiver right now. You have to try to open things up more than what you have. Thank you, Shane, for that. Meantime, 239-1070 is the number. J-Law is on hold right here. J-Law had the Win Schuler's snack chip. He found the spreadability and the snackability of Meijer. Hello, J-Law.
Yeah, I saw those last night. I was.
Well, it seems like they have a lot left. They have a lot left. Are they not sweeping Central Indiana so far? It looks like that they had a pretty large amount remaining.
They're not next to the cheese spread. Maybe they need to relocate them closer.
What are they next to? Is it at eye level, or are they down there by your knees?
They're on the end of an aisle.
I got you. Oh, that's showcasing the Win Schuler snack chips right there. I got you.
But, hey, I will be there Friday. My college roommate lives in Texas is coming up for the game, so we'll meet you down at Tiebreakers.
Well, I'm expecting Matt Surface. We've got the signal out to him. And then a good friend, Mike Poe, who is good friends with the Jones family. That's Isaiah Jones of IU. His dad, DJ Jones, is a former Buckeye. And we're supposed to be, at least on the phone, joined by him and maybe get both father and son on the program. Interesting story.
Nice.
Line with those two. So we'll see what happens coming up on Friday. But that's the expectation to at least get the dad, who's going to be in an interesting situation coming up on Saturday
And now Danny
night.
Kanell's going to maybe show up.
Yeah, we may just get everybody. I find it interesting. Once you offer either bourbon or beer, then everybody comes out of the woodwork.
I'm there.
Yes. J-Law, what else you got, brothers?
Well, a couple things. Going back to the Colts game, do you think the NFL Rules Committee will consider like a play clock, like the NBA has the shot clock where they have the light go off? I'm serious. Put it on the goalpost.
Well,
have it light up or something. That was ridiculous.
Anything has to work better because it's commonplace where they go a click or two past zero and let the play just kind of go. And I would agree. I mean, if you're going to be hardcore on it, be hardcore on it. You talk about the goalpost. I mean, I'm sure you have technology now where you can figure out whether or not a point after attempt or a field goal is good or no good, right? You utilize technology in a lot of ways, and in other ways you don't. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's just not a good look. So many bizarre calls.
Well, I mean, when you want to get down to it, I didn't put much of an emphasis on it yesterday, J-Law, but when you want to get down to it, I mean, you do the math, and you can pretty easily find out that was costly in the Colts trying to win that game. There's no doubt.
Yes.
The calls, the pass interference was just jackass at the highest level. I mean, those were costly in terms of them losing that game. Even though, I didn't concentrate on that yesterday, you can't get past it if you simply do the math.
Yeah. And lastly, one of the biggest thrills I'm having with the football season at IU, besides the victories, it's just been a joy all around. But
the Shotsky? I thought you were going to say the Shotsky. That's
been getting a workout. I'm going to try to figure a way to get it downtown on Saturday. But it's just just everybody enjoying themselves and stuff. But on the conversely, how all the big schools who've been there before are having an issue with it.
Yeah, that's great.
The insecurities and the arrogance. It's awesome.
It's all. I don't know if anybody out there, and I know I have before, if you've ever crashed a party, and then, when you crashed the party kind of became the life of the party, that's cool as hell. So,
I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah. You didn't originally get invited, but, everybody else after that's glad that you showed up. This is kind of, that's why, I've referenced them as the infiltrators with what is, the old school, the grandfathered in football programs out there. It's a great thing. And, it's something you can utilize now with, and under Danny Kanell was talking about the economics of college athletics and college football here, which are mind-numbing right now. But if you want a winning program, I mean, you obviously have to make really good, sharp decisions. But if you have the financial backing, which clearly they do down in Bloomington, why not you? In unprecedented territory right here, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, winning has its consequences. We saw an increase in ticket prices this year and the, quote, donation fee. Expected, and I expect another one next year, quite honestly.
And losing has consequences too, because I mean, you look what everybody expects now. I'll give you a great example in that Bucket game with Barry Odom. I went and watched. I shouldn't say watched, but looked in social media, and I know this is not speaking for the entire fan base at Purdue, but you got a lot of non-believers there because, not only did they not do what, a guy like Signetti did in year number one, but, I mean, hell, they barely got better than what you had with Ryan Walters right there. So there are a lot of non-believers in everything right now that football program is doing, which conversely, you look at the basketball program and everybody is a believer in what Matt Painter does. So, it's everybody trying to get on the same page, which, again, that's what Darren DeVries is trying to do with the basketball program in match, everybody getting excited about the football program. A lot going on, certainly in college athletics, but we got both ends of the dynamic going here in West Lafayette and Bloomington.
And the energy that DeVries has versus Woodson has been night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good change.
Yeah, well, and then I mean, you look at the offense they run now and the movement they had compared to the standing around and the stuff with really the last 8 years with head coaches there. I mean, hopefully they can continue that, and then you get Get a little Louisville in basketball. IU Ohio State, Big Ten title game. Downtown's going to be something Saturday.
It'll be fun.
All right. Anything else, my brothers?
No, I will see you Friday.
You got it. Appreciate you. J-Law with the spreadability. Do I need a break here or am I cool? Oh, I'm cool. James says we're cool. Anthony, because James says we're cool, you're up next. Go ahead.
JMV, what's going on?
Anthony,
man?
what's happening in your world?
You know, just living the dream out here, doing a little side hustle, DoorDash.
Yeah. Hey, man, how's our good friend doing after a month later after the situation with Sanchez over there? Is everything back to normal?
You know, I think he's all good. He's
Good.
back to normal. I just
I got a
I
message.
don't go out drinking as much as I used to, John. So I don't get a belly up to Scott's bar as often as I would.
I got a message from him. This goes back about a month now, right after that, because he heard either about or heard at the time you and I, talking about him.
I did tell him. Tell him that I reached out to you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool of him to do that.
That guy you cut off earlier, LOL. What a jackass that told you not to cut people off.
I didn't think that. Yeah, I think it was the guy. It was just a random guy. And hell, I think I gave him some free stuff too. Randy. Come on.
But he was the guy that you supposedly, no, I'm just kidding, did cut off. He was on to something, but in all reality, that's like the third or fourth major issue I have with Steichen. You can hire somebody to manage the clock, but it's just the same thing every week. Like the one decent play that we did have was just, a bomb to Pierce, which in all reality, if you go back and look at it, I don't know why Houston didn't challenge it. This goes back to the bad officiating. It looked like that ball was moving when Pierce hit the ground. So I don't know if he survives the ground. They called it a touchdown. Great for us. We still lose the game. But this fake accountability with Steichen, who he picks and chooses, when Taylor fumbles the ball through the end zone, he plays next week. When Andai does it, he's cut, traded. He had 100 yards yesterday for the Jets. I'm not saying we shouldn't have made a trade for Sauce Gardner. I'm just saying maybe look some of these defensive linemen in the line and say, why the hell can't you get past these guys? Or maybe look some of these offensive linemen in the face and say, why can't we do anything
that's
to
where I
get
start.
to the quarterback?
That's where I start.
And you know what? It's kind of maddening because here we are cutting a kicker for missing an extra point when in all reality, like that's not the big issue. The big issue is he won't figure out ways to get the ball to Taylor. He's got nothing creative to get his best player the ball. It's the same 3 runs with Taylor every time. Daniel Jones can't move. And if he can't move, I hate to say this because me and you both know the result of what's going to happen. But if Daniel Jones can't move in the pocket, we need to seriously contemplate getting Richardson and his face back on the field.
He's not going to be, though. He's not even ready.
I know, but what are the other options? You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to sit here and do the same thing.
Yeah, they're going to sink
or
swim in this situation. I think that, Anthony, I think it's more on the guys around him than this is about Jones. I think that there are ways and means where you can make him maybe not what he was in September because he's not going to be with the lack of mobility, but I just think with arm talent and talent around him, he should be consistently better, and I think a lot of the root of that cause is especially those in front of him in this case.
Well, and again, those teams we were playing in the beginning of the year, you and I both know are not good. We were close with the Rams. They lost yesterday to Carolina, so that should just go to show you that anybody in the NFL can beat anybody on any given day. Like, I know Carolina's better, but they're still a crap team. And they beat the Rams at home yesterday. So the Colts beating the Broncos, yeah, that's great, but it was on some fluky stuff, right? Like, let's take a step back and realize, like, we traded 2 number 1s for Sauce Gardner, who unfortunately got hurt, and I get it. We were trying to do the thing. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, you could have the best secondary in the league, which we might have, and it still just goes to show you if you can't get to the quarterback, they're eventually going to get beat downfield. There's nothing they can do about it. The wide receiver's always going to have the advantage when the quarterback's got 15 seconds to throw the ball.
Yeah, that's problematic.
They should have went and got a Max Crosby or something. I know we're throwing out names.
Well,
here.
hey,
Miles Garrett, like
Anthony,
get
Randy
somebody to
is
make a
going
difference.
Randy is going to be pissy at me, but I do have to hit a break here, so I am going to have to go.
You're all good,
My
man.
apologies
Hey,
to you, brother.
Let me ask you one last thing really quickly. What is anybody hurt on that extra point? Because that dude missed it.
Yeah,
You can
well, I
come
mean,
back on the
yeah.
break and let me know.
Yeah,
I
thank you, man.
I just got it.
Anthony, thank you. Randy, I'm sorry. I got a little butthurt earlier about Randy saying I cut somebody off, but I do have to cut somebody off because we are on a clock right here, and I have to go. Butler coming up a little bit after 6. It's Mark and Nick on the call right here on the Fan. Eastern Michigan and the Dogs from Hinkle. Got a little time between now and then to get to you at 239-1070. Don't go anywhere.
Right. 1, 2, 5. Freezer. 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Win Schuler spreadability for everybody. Let's all have Win Schulers. Let's all celebrate with a tub of incredible snacking cheese tonight. Why shouldn't you? Neiman's Harvest Market. Meyer Locations also has the snack crackers. The showcase shelf right there on the aisle. Your Meyer location, your favorite Meyer throughout the state of Indiana, and Gordon's Food Service. Spreadability. Win Schuler's elite level snacking. Make sure you tell him I sent you. Yeah, I know Randy from Greenwood, that is not you. It was a different Randy a little bit earlier that climbed up my rear end about cutting somebody off. And as you well know, I cannot sidestep my high level of butt-hurtedness. I can't do it. I have butt chafing going on right now because of that. Jarrett's going to Hinkle later on tonight. Eastern Michigan Butler. In fact, Hinkle is going to come not only through the studio, and Foxworthy's here, but also going out over the airwaves, 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Mark and Nick, yapping at you with Butler Conversation. We got to get BizJack on this show, too. I think the morning show has Thad on. I probably should get Thad on at some point. Somebody over there asked Thad if he wants to come on, or if he's just said, you know what, the hell with JMV in the afternoon, I just want to do the morning show, which evidently Rick Carlisle has done. I'm feeling very unloved around here. By the way, Rick Carlisle on with the fellas this morning, too. Pacers a loser last night to Cleveland. It is Nikola Jokic, who has been listed as probable tomorrow night, which means he should play. And the Nuggets coming off a 17-point fourth quarter. I don't know if you watched them last night. They were at home against the Mavericks. They put up 41 in the first quarter, 17 in the fourth, a massive 29, 20, and 13 triple-double for Jokic, but got little help from anybody else. Cam Johnson is like trying to find his way in a dark room, right? He has no idea what the hell's going on. He has not been. I thought that he was going to be a nice fit there. He has not been a nice fit there. Nuggets, Pacers later on tonight, and I do have to give a bit of an apology, even though I sent this to JJ last night. I said, you know what? I have seen enough of Garrison Matthews. I'm done. And then he goes out and knocks down a bunch of threes. So maybe I should just do that for the entire Pacers. I should say that about Pacers. Is there anybody on the Colts where you would like me to say, hey, I've seen enough so they'll play better? Anybody? Where do we start? You know, I've seen enough of the right side of the offensive line. I've seen enough of you, Bortolini. Mooney. I've seen enough of you, Mooney. Oh, here's two. Latu, Pay. I've seen enough of you guys.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Seriously,
right there.
I'm going to start that and see if we can make that a trend. Guys, where I say that I've seen enough of. Now, I will also tell you that watching Robinson Earl take jump shots hurts my eyeballs. I feel bad because, man, he is an energetic dude, but he can't hit squat. When he pulls a jump shot, I just go, oh, God. JMV, please ask. Oh, you got a little something for St. Francis here, huh? Thank you. A resident from Massachusetts right there. Appreciate it. All right, anybody else you want me to add to I've seen enough of so they'll go from bad to good in a big hurry? We'll do that coming up. We got 6 o'clock hour. Who do I got on here? All right, Larry and TJ on the other side, too, and whomever else wants to call. 239-1070. 8 extra minutes we do? before Eastern Michigan and Butler with Nick and Mark coming up here to yip-yapping for you. That's after 6 o'clock. We got an extra 8 minutes for you, so sit tight. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
For all the kids watching at home,
Stay out of trouble. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I can't remember if I said Michael Badgley. I'm kind of sick of watching you. My quote last night for Garrison Matthews during the Pacer game before he unleashed a number of made jumpers, most of which from distance, I had said, I think I'm over Garrison Matthews. So I believe we have found some karma. So you tell me who I need to be over to turn the bad to good. Simply by that. Now, it was over Michael Badgley, and the Colts made a move. They waive their now former kicker, and they signed Blake Grupe. Maddox Trujillo, and even Justin Tucker. You remember back in the day how many fantasy football league coaches, general managers, whatever, had their team called Yippee-Ki-Yay Justin Tucker?
I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah. Well, Yippee-Ki-Yay,
Oh, yeah.
Die Hard.
Die Hard, obviously.
Yippee-Ki-Yay Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker apparently had the proverbial tires kicked here. Grupe was the guy that's going to kick coming up on Sunday. Corey Hall says, how about we've had enough of Quiddy Pay? There you go. Hey, Quiddy Pay, we've had enough of you. Latu, we've had enough of you. Yeah, just let me know. I'll see if I can help out in that capacity. Any way, shape, or form. I saw this a little bit earlier. The Steelers and Darius Slay mutually agreed to part ways. It's Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey's rep. Now, Slay still wants to play. And certainly, even after beating about a month ago the Colts in Pittsburgh, things since that point in time have absolutely unraveled for the Steelers. And that's normally what that's the Aaron Rodgers effect. He comes to your team and it unravels. Had enough of. I like that. 239-1070. I like that too. We got to like 8 after before we head out to Hinkle Fieldhouse with Mark and Nick for Butler Hoops. TJ is going to go next. Hello, TJ. How are you?
Hey, doing all right, JMV. How are you?
Hello, TJ. Outstanding. Thank you for the call.
Hey, it was nice meeting you at Sid's that one time you were up there.
TJ, it was outstanding. You know how much I love Sid's on the square in Noblesville. I cannot wait to get back.
All right, we'll have a drink ready for you.
You got it, brother.
Hey, I'm sick of everybody on the offense not catching the gosh dang ball.
Yes. I've had enough of everybody but Alec Pierce.
Yeah. Downs had a critical third down. I mean, he's done really well, but in pressure situations when we need it, it seems like they're not doing it.
Yeah. Yep. I can there's a lot of things that have to come together on this because it has been discombobulated offensively. Really beyond compare it was. And I know a lot of that had to do with the Houston Texans defense is legit. I mean, that's what they lean on. It is legit. But yeah, you expect even with the injury to Jones, I start with the offensive line and how much better they have to look, how much more they have to protect, how much more support they have to give compared to what they have recently for a guy that is gutting it out with that fibula injury out there.
Yeah, I know that he's getting that pressure, so he's releasing a little bit faster. But
yeah, well, he's got the mobility of Joe Flacco right now, which is problematic, certainly. But hey, TJ, anything else?
Nope, I appreciate it, and talk to you soon.
You got it, TJ. Thank you very much. A shout out to Sid's on the square in Noblesville. I've had enough of this Colts look here recently, too. Larry's next. Hello, Larry.
Hey, JMB. I've had enough of Ward between his pass defense and his tackling. Forget about it. But the main reason I'm calling, I've noticed the last 3 games, Atlanta, the KC, and now Houston, Jones keeps doing the same snap count, a hard count, another hard count, and then the ball. It's like the defense knows what he's doing, and they come after him. It seems like if you switch that up a little bit, you might have some luck. I don't know. What do you think?
Hey, Larry, thank you for the call. I haven't noticed that as much as I just simply notice that everybody now is just hardcore after him now that everybody knows, and you have to take countermeasures if you're Shane Steichen and the Colts. And I didn't see much of that on Sunday. Hey, if you're on hold, we'll get to you coming up on tomorrow's show. I promise you that. Great job out of you, James. Danny Kanell, Jeremiah Johnson, Greg Rakestraw, Podcast 1075thefan.com. Back in studio coming up tomorrow. Butler Hoops next. Mark and Nick at Hinkle and Eastern Michigan, the opposition. And Foxworthy next on The Fan. Enjoy.